I showed up at the observatory he said was cancelled. The alert blinked on our shared calendar at 3:11 p.m. Public night 8:00 mirror cooldown plus alignment plus open house. I stared just long enough to imagine the dome hissing open before the event evaporated. 2 minutes later, a text from Eli. Clouds coming in. Open house is off. I'll be home early. Shall I pick up soup? Read, I thumbed, yes, and set the phone face down on my lighting plot for the museum exhibit, trying to put my brain back where it belonged. The word alignment kept slipping under my tongue like a spare marble. We've been together 7 years. Eli rotates through crafts the way other people cycle playlists. A winter on bicycle wheels, a summer convincing violins to behave, and since last fall, Thursday and Saturday nights at the Hilltop Observatory. He comes home smelling faintly of cold metal and warm coffee, with hair that looks like the wind has been rehearsing, and a squared-away calm I admire even when it makes me jealous. He says phrases I write in my pocket because they sound like instructions for a life. Alignment is an offer. Focus is a verb. Don't punish a mirror for being honest. We had a fragile plan for the night. Soup, a ridiculous documentary, both of us asleep before the narrator decided what he wanted to be. At 6:09, though, the observatory posted a story. The dome slid a dark smile, the big Newtonian's mirror wearing a film of breath, a ladder leaned just so, and a person I recognized by posture and gray at the temples even from a distance. Anton holding a collimation cap between two careful fingers. Caption, clouds ditched us. We're open. Bring patient eyes. If they end up opening, we could just swing by and say hi, I ventured, borrowing a nonchalant voice from a better actor. For me it's off, Eli said, without looking up from the breadboard he was using to slice mushrooms. I don't have the voice for the crowd tonight. Which is either about the public night or about us. Got it, I told the counter. The part of me that dresses like Prudence laced its boots. At 7:43 I was in the observatory lot, composing the kind of administrative lie that convinces only the sender. Freight came early at the museum, going to go sign, I typed. The dots rewarded me with a thumbs up. I was annoyed at the emoji for being plausible. Inside, the air had the mild metallic taste I always confuse with dignity. Somewhere a fan kept time beneath the dome's muted motor. The big scope stood like a serious promise. Student scopes waited on tripods like patient birds. A dozen people drifted between Ask Me badges and eyepieces. A dad with twins in matching parkas. A woman in a wheelchair whose knit hat had its own opinions. A couple that looked like their first date had been postponed by weather and they'd refused. Eli arrived at 8:08, tote bag like a diplomatic pouch on his shoulder. He wasn't alone. He walked with Anton in the way people walk with someone who knows where the step is, the kind of space that isn't flirting until you need it not to be. He saw me and did that 2-heartbeat step back, a little sabirolo of hesitation, then a smile chosen the way you choose not to panic. Nights like this are group work, said Priya, the coordinator, clapping once. We'll do mirror cooldown and a quick collimation on the big newt, set up the daub on the lawn and the small refractors for Jupiter and the moon. Reminders, don't apologize to the sky, don't punish the focuser for not listening yet. Alignment is an offer, not a court case. If you need to sneeze, not at the mirror. If you need to gossip, not near the mirror. The laugh the room sent back was the kind people give to rules they secretly want. I followed Eli with my eyes. He tugged the cover off the Newtonian as if undressing a thought. Anton handed him the collimation cap, then the small flashlight, then nothing. Sometimes the best help is leaving a gesture alone. Jealousy rose like a badly trained dog. I gave it a job. I held a red light while a seventh grader tightened a tiny knob on a cranky secondary. I dug out a rubber eye cup for a woman with a who needs gloves attitude. I took the lens cap off a refractor like a stagehand, removing a hat pin. Cheshire? Anton asked, and Priya floated one over, magician's assistant who actually understands the trick. Eli hunched his shoulder to the tube, the Cheshire peeking back at the mirror's donut sticker, the slow breath of 3 circles trying to be one. If it's good enough to start, it's good enough to start, Priya said from near the ladder. Perfection is a kind of weather we don't have. At the break, paper cups of something almost like tea, a box of discount cookies that tasted more like participation than sugar, Eli drifted toward me. "You're here," he said. "I was told observation is already half alignment," I answered, unethical extra credit. "Also, you lied, your voice works." "Clouds ditched us," he said, "and I wanted to be the version of me that learns without writing a report at home." He looked at Anton, then back. "Also, I didn't mind letting someone else fix my tone arm for a night. He's got certain hands." The phrase landed like a flick of ash in my collar. I said the truth I'd brought as a passport. I was afraid you'd get used to a good job that wasn't mine. Eli set his palm on the big tube the way he sometimes sets it on the kitchen table when he wants to quiet more than furniture. "Stay," he said, gently practical. "But be a student. If Priya asks what alignment does, don't say make it perfect. Say make the path available. Can you do that?" "Probably," I said my polite yes. The second half began the way second halves should, with somebody offering you a tool you haven't earned. Priya had the daub on the lawn and a line of parents orbiting the eyepiece. She crooked a finger at me. "Want to drive? Keep Jupiter in frame." She set my hand on the big lazy handle. "Nudge, not shove, breathing, not proving. Exhale when you move. If the planet runs away, it's because it's a planet." I nudged and exhaled. The planet did try to run, stuttering toward the eyepiece's edge like it had better places to be. I found it again. A little marble of discourtesy and hope. The great red spot pulled at the rim like a bruise. The bands were commas in an argument. A kid who'd only ever seen things on screens said whoa, in the way people say whoa before bills or mortgages. Beside me, Anton offered the moon to a cluster that needed metaphors. Eli ricocheted between scopes, finding faces in the dark and offering verbs. "Let the scope help," to a jaw-clenched boy. "The sky isn't your enemy," to a man fighting the focuser like a grievance. "Don't hog the view," to a woman who was. It sounded less like a scold when he said it, and yes, that made me jealous, and yes, I stayed anyway. "Want to aim at M42? Anton asked, when Jupiter's line thinned. "Orion's being greedy." He showed me the finder's crosshair and how the Dobbs balance accepts kindness better than instructions. I moved the tube until the fuzzy middle star of the sword was a reminder of light not yet arrived. In the main eyepiece, the Orion Nebula hovered just this side of confession. The trapezium stars were tiny decisions. The gas curled like handwriting trying not to be dramatic. I gave it 10 heartbeats. I hadn't budgeted. "Short exercise," Priya said later, the latter her lectern, her voice the kind that remembers kindergarten and grad seminars at once. "On your phone or a scrap, write 1 sentence for tomorrow. Not about the sky, about you. It has to describe you without nomming you." She didn't collect the papers. We were old enough to fail without applause. Eli's glow said, "Don't tighten me so much, I open by myself." "Anton, I prepare the air, mine. I'm learning to make the path available without proving I know the way." A teenager who'd spent the night asking shy questions read, "I don't have to be first in line to see what's in it." A woman who kept apologizing to the scope read, "I am allowed to focus more than once." Priya thanked each of us as if we had aligned something bigger than a tube. We ended the night the way you end the nights you want to keep, by doing something small and honest. Priya pointed to the dome motor, then to the wheel that turns the slit. Who hasn't? She asked. I raised my hand on purpose. She set my palm on the wheel. Slow, she said. Sky speed. Let the opening catch up to where Jupiter will be, not where it was. Let the building be patient with you being patient with it. It wasn't profound. It was exactly enough. Outside, the parking lot was the kind of quiet that isn't unsettled or settled. You lied, Eli said, without knife. Poorly, I said. I could have said I was scared, that your night might have a life that doesn't need me. Tell me about Anton without poetry. He proposes and then steps out, Eli said, zipping his jacket. He doesn't collect debts. Stepping out, I repeated. It tasted like cinnamon. Eli took my hand inside his pocket, which is how he keeps me warm when I'm pretending I'm fine. At home, we put 3 things on the table: my sentence, his sentence, and a scrap where Priya had written alignment is an offer in a hand I was going to tease later. Let's write a house service sheet, I said. 5 lines, a staff. We don't have to sing in tune. Eli found a pen. We wrote. If the calendar blinks, we talk. We don't let the dome decide our honesty. If a place outside makes us more alive, we show the other the door and say where the handle is and where the tea is. Jealous means look closer, not hunt a fault. If one of us climbs onto his mezzanine, the other puts a tool in his hand, a cap, a finder, a phrase, and a time to breathe. Once a week we hang something that breathes, image, label, sentence, without explaining it until we read it aloud together. In the weeks after, I learned to nudge instead of shove. The finder's crosshair turned out to be more suggestion than target. I learned to smell when a focuser was fine, and I was. Anton taught me to look at the secondary's shadow when the donut refused to become a portal. Priya taught me to choose a shorter eyepiece only when the line was short. Eli loaned me his useful silence, the kind that keeps my hands from apologizing when what they need to do is adjust. I don't pretend the observatory can fix what sentences break. We weren't broken, just poorly tempered, sharp edges, long explanations, proof where it wasn't wanted. The night taught me to wait. The dome taught me to move at sky speed. Jupiter taught me to forgive a wobble. The moon taught me to stop making everything about me. Justify, a word from the museum, stopped being an apology and went back to being a page instruction. Give the line room so it holds. Last night Eli slid our sentences into the magnet strip above the sink. Across from them I taped a photo Anton had taken of the dome against ordinary clouds. One slit of light, not even central, just an option. The dog, the hyphen between us, walked through the kitchen like a pro in the business of separating lines. We left the window open. February let itself in with a polite yes. Silence on the line, Eli said, grinning. Standing by, I answered. Summary minus the pretense of teaching. Don't confuse alignment with control. Air is already help. Jealousy works better when you give it a job. Stepping out is not abandonment. Making the path available is not domination. And the same sky, offered by different hands, doesn't tell the same story but stories that hold one another up. Tonight the calendar's box is actually white. That means soup. Nothing compulsory. Try again tomorrow. Eli rinses the mugs. I fold the towel. The dog checks the table legs like a repair person who knows when things are fine. Between the sentences and the photo I stick a small label. Here we make the path available without proving it. Eli adds another. Here we say thank you. The kitchen catches a breath like a small observatory learning the sky. I don't tighten the ending. I let it drift and hold. That's enough.